Richard the Lionheart is a legendary medieval warrior, a symbol of medieval knighthood and courage. But what most people don't know is that he got there thanks to a rather irregular rise to power, and that he led one of the greatest medieval armies ever assembled. But a grander purpose awaited him, the Third Crusade, sparked by Saladin's recapture of Jerusalem. Let's begin. Welcome to the series Richard the Lionheart, the Crusader King. This is episode 2, the Crusades calling, assembling the might. In our last episode, we saw Richard I's tumultuous ascent to the throne. For Richard, only one option remained: forge an alliance with his former ally, now rival, King Philip II of France. Chroniclers spun tales of his valor and piety, encouraging the English populace to support his holy mission. Sermons in churches depicted the crusade as a holy duty, while noble women prayed for their lord's safe return, hoping they would bring back plunder from the east. They sent envoys across Europe, urging nobles and knights to join their cause. Now they had to get their armies to the Holy Land, which was easier said than done. His fleet, comprising around 80 ships, sailed from England, carrying knights, nobles, and supplies. Meanwhile, Philip marched south through France, with his army of foot soldiers and cavalry. A storm blew Richard's fleet off course, forcing him to land unexpectedly on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus. Richard skillfully used the threat of further conquest to extract concessions. His journey was fraught with challenges. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and skirmishes broke out. There, amidst the throng of knights, soldiers, and camp followers, Richard and Philip prepared for the final leg of their journey. His ships battled rough seas and strong winds as they carried knights, nobles, and supplies to the Holy Land. The sight that greeted Richard as he approached Acre was both daunting and inspiring. The sprawling siege camp stretched as far as the eye could see, housing tens of thousands of soldiers and support staff. Within its confines, Richard could witness the grim reality of the crusade. Rugged tents crowded the camp, interspersed with blacksmiths, workshops, and stables. The air buzzed with activity as men went about their duties, from cooking meals to readying siege engines. Reaching the Levant without his knights would have been a humiliating defeat, so Philip decided to wait for Richard. Richard, gazing at the scene before him, felt a mix of emotions: dread at the daunting task, determination to succeed, and excitement for the battles to come. As he prepared to enter the camp, he knew that the true test of his courage, leadership, and the strength of the Crusader army was about to begin. Isaac, realizing he was outnumbered and outgunned, eventually agreed to surrender. Richard's victory was swift and decisive. The terms of surrender allowed Isaac and his nobles to retain their wealth and titles, while common folk were granted religious freedom and protection. Join us next time for an all-new episode where we'll explore the Siege of Acre. Until then, please don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Richard then turned his attention to restoring order and fortifying the island. He established a mint to produce coinage, reorganized the administration, and repaired damaged infrastructure. Importantly, he prioritized the construction of fortifications, recognizing the strategic value of the island. Within weeks, Richard had transformed Cyprus into a formidable Crusader stronghold, ready to serve as a vital supply base for his campaign to recapture Jerusalem. Ruled by the tyrannical Isaac Comnenus, the island was a thorn in the side of European crusaders. Richard quickly seized the capital, Messina, after a fierce battle, and advanced on Limassol. Isaac's army, though, fiercely defended the port city, forcing Richard to lay a siege. It was a long, arduous journey, made even harder by dwindling supplies. Discipline became a major challenge. Soldiers grew restive and leaders clashed. Philip, known for his quick temper, frequently resorted to violence to maintain order. But Richard, renowned for his patience and diplomacy, attempted to keep his knights in check. Tales of his chivalry and generosity were spread far and wide, enticing nobles and commoners to join his banner. The combined force, one of the largest Crusader armies ever assembled, numbered around 30,000 foot soldiers, 10,000 cavalrymen, plus thousands of support staff and camp followers. Among them were skilled craftsmen, surgeons, chaplains, and, sadly, prostitutes. The site was a microcosm of medieval society, complete with taverns, marketplaces, and even churches. However, Richard's propaganda machine was more effective. The Lionheart, as he was called, had captured the popular imagination. His image was seen on coins, banners, and tapestries, reminding everyone of his royal duty to lead the crusade. Everywhere they went, they received pledges of support and men who eagerly awaited the chance to prove themselves in battle. Richard famously declared he would sell London if he could find a buyer. No sale was ever attempted. But castles were mortgaged, offices sold, and heavy taxes levied. Richard even placed a levy on wives, charging 20 shillings for every marriage performed. Across England, people paid their taxes willingly, proudly believing they were funding a holy cause. In total, Richard raised around 200,000 lives, roughly equivalent to $6 million today. Philip also employed similar tactics, but he faced stiff resistance from his nobles who felt burdened by the costs. Richard, on the other hand, was viewed favorably by his subjects. He kept his word, granting rewards to those who helped him and punishing those who tried to cheat the system. Moreover, he made sure that the money was spent wisely, appointing trustworthy advisors to oversee the finances. His reputation as a fair and honorable ruler helped build a sense of loyalty and trust among his subjects. Despite their mutual distrust, reclaiming Jerusalem was a shared goal, demanding a combined effort. Their alliance, however, was built on shifting sands. For Richard, a knightly king, the crusade was not just a political imperative, it was a spiritual one. In 1188, he had passionately taken the cross, vowing to God and his loyal subjects that he would reclaim the Holy Land. Once an ally against the English, the shrewd Philip had switched sides when he realized that his interests lay more with Jerusalem than with England. So when Louis, the rightful heir to the county of Tripoli, implored Philip for help, the French king jumped at the chance to expand his influence in the Holy Land. With papal support, he raised a massive army and headed east. His enthusiasm was echoed across England and France. The call of the crusade resonated with nobles and commoners alike. Religious zeal mixed with adventurous spirit, and a chance to plunder in the name of God made the crusade an irresistible call for many. But the rousing call to arms was also a rallying cry for Richard's rival, King Philip II of France. Despite their shared goal, Richard and Philip distrusted each other deeply, and with both kings claiming overlordship of Jerusalem, the alliance was uneasy. But before setting out, both monarchs realized they needed reinforcements. Richard had a propaganda advantage in his favor. Back in England, a campaign was already underway to portray him as the God-fearing, brave Crusader king. In France, Philip, too, employed skilled propagandists who magnified his victories and downplayed his defeats. But enthusiasm alone cannot raise a great army. Both kings needed resources, and to finance such an enormous expedition was a colossal undertaking. By 1190, both kings had raised significant funds, recruited thousands of soldiers and selected their commanders. Richard, adhering to his knightly code, chose the sea route over the treacherous overland journey. Weeks turned into months, and the two armies eventually met up in southern France. Richard and Philip then set out together, determined to conquer the Holy Land. But their unity was short-lived. As the siege dragged on, negotiations began. Meanwhile, Philip, unaware of Richard's detour, continued his march towards Acre. In the summer of 1190, the two kings and their armies converged at Vassy in France. With Cyprus secured, Richard set sail for Acre, the besieged Crusader stronghold. But beyond the camp walls, looming large on the horizon, was the city of Acre, a constant reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. And so concludes episode 2 of Richard the Lionheart, the Crusader King, the Crusades calling, assembling the might.